This app is going to be a bit different because we'll have to get the access key. So before we start setting up anything as far as our folders, I would want to start by getting the key. And we can do that if we go to our search engine and then we'll type on Splash. So that is the name of the site. And of course, I would want to navigate there. And once we're here, we'll have to sign up. So in my case, I already have one dummy account. So I'll log out and then I'm going to create together with you another one. So I'm going to go with login. And of course, that is my first dummy account, but I'm going to create a new one from scratch. And you'll also have to do that if you want to get the API key. So I'm going to go with join. I'm going to go with Peter and of course Smith. Now we do need to come up with some kind of email address. So in my case, I'm going to go with learncodetutorial@gmail.com. And then as far as the user, I'm going to go with React hyphen projects hyphen 19 and then recording. Again, it is up to you, whatever username you would want to do. Of course, keep in mind that some of them might be taken, but as far as the password, I'm going to go with my super secret password, and then I'm going to go with join option. And of course, once we join, and by the way, for some reason it says, oh, okay, so no hyphens here. Can go with underscores instead, like so. So hopefully that works. And I'm going to join. And once we do that, we should be able to access our account. So in this case, I'm not going to save this particular password. And then once you join, what you're looking for is the API and developers link. So you click over here and you would want to start by creating the app. So we have your documentation and we have your apps, and you would want to create a new application. So in here, you would want to check all of them like so. And then of course you'll have to agree to the terms. And in here, I'm just going to say, yep, I would want to accept the terms. Again, they will ask you for the name. And in my case, I'm going to go with React project, and then 19. And then recording, like so. And then if you want to add some description, of course you can do it. But in my case, I'm just going to copy and paste my name. We'll create the application. Beautiful. And then you keep on scrolling. And that's the key that you're looking for. So for the time being, just save it somewhere. So in my case, I'm going to copy this to the clipboard. And then, of course, I would want to go and see the documentation. So where we have the apps, next link is documentation, and I open this in the new browser tab. And then let's scroll through documentation. We have getting started and all that info that we already completed. And what we're looking for is this URL. So this is going to be the endpoint, the root endpoint, where all our requests will start with this one. So that's something we need to keep in mind. And then, of course, we keep on scrolling, and we can see that in order to get anything, we'll have to provide our API key. So in order to get the photos, we're just going to go with API on splash.com and then /photos. Now, don't worry. Of course, we'll take a look at the other options that they provide as well, but essentially we'll use this one and the search option. But in order to get anything, we'll have to provide the client ID. So notice here, they go with question mark. So URL parameter and then client ID is equal to our access key. Remember, the one that we got once we created the app. So now what I would want is to take this URL because I would want to double check whether I'm getting something back. Because if you're not getting the data, then of course it's useless, whatever we're going to do after that, because you won't be able to follow along. I'm going to copy and paste right now my API key. And if you're getting some data back, beautiful, then you're ready to move on to the next step. Assuming that that is the case, I'm going to go back. And like I said, they have multiple endpoints. but they all start with this API.unsplash. And if you want, you can get the users. So you would go with that root endpoint and / users. And for example, you can go with username. You can get the photos. So this is going to be the one that we'll use. We go with / photos and check it out. They have multiple options. You can get different pages, which of course we'll use later when we set up the infinite scroll. We can have per page. So how many per page? Now default is 10, and we're going to stick with default. That one is fine. Then you can also order them by some kind of parameter, whether that's latest, oldest, popular, or whatever. And that's also something that we're going to skip. And then there's option for the search. So we go with search, and then again, the URL is going to be following, where we go with search, then photos, and then the search is going to be in the query. Now, of course, we'll set up those URLs later, but this is just to showcase the general idea. You can also get the collections if you want. Again, the URL is going to be a bit different, where you go with the root endpoint and then / collections. So with this out of the way, now, of course, I can navigate back to my project, and I'm looking for project 19, the stock photos, and of course, the setup. So in this case, what I would want is to go here and clear everything that I currently have, CD, and then back to the root. And we're going to go with npm install and then npm start. We spin it up and make sure that you have the source. In the source, you'll have app.js, like so. And of course, in the app.js, we have a few imports here. We have, for example, icon. And of course, in this case, nothing happened because I would need to check. Let me see. npm install and npm start, and then for some reason I wasn't able to do it. And of course, it is because I didn't navigate to the folder. So cd, like so, and I'm just making a big fat mess over here. Now I copied and paste my API key. So let me grab right now my folder. So the setup folder for project 19. Now, once I'm in a folder, then I'm going to run npm install and then npm start. And then while I'm spinning up my dev server, here you can see that in the app.js, you'll find 2 URLs. So I already copied and pasted those URLs because I thought that it's just going to be faster. Notice again, we have API.unsplash.com and photos. So the root endpoint plus the photos that we're going to be looking for. So this is just going to give us a list. And then for the search, the URL is going to be tiny bit different, where we're going to go with API, unsplash.com, and then search and then photos. And then, like I said, once we get to that point, of course, I'll show you how we would construct the URL. And you'll also notice this comment here. And this is something that we're going to do first, where we will set up our environment variables. And I'll talk about them in the next video. So for time being, let's just leave it the way it is. And as far as return, we have stock photos star. That's the text we should see on a screen. And of course, there's also one component, that is the photo component. So since we have a list, again, I just create one component that represents that photo. So each photo will be represented by the photo component. And of course, we also have the index CSS. So the CSS is already prepared. So I think we are in good shape and we could start working on our application.